Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Games and Things. For years, Games and Things has provided big items to folks looking to outfit a game room, like pool tables, foosball, air hockey, ping pong. Now they have a smaller game available called Boss Toss that is really becoming a hit at bars and restaurants and in their showroom. Apparently people come in there and they try out Boss Toss, and then they continue standing over there and playing until they have to be escorted out. Games and Things, I'm kidding about the latter, but Games and Things does a tremendous job, whatever you're looking for, big or small, dart boards on the small end, pool tables on the big end, they got them. But go in and ask about Boss Toss. It's actually a pretty cool game that you could try out there at Games and Things. All right, so we've been listing the biggest obstacles. Bob, I'll let you go next. What are you saying, biggest obstacle for Tennessee moving forward?
Biggest obstacle, I'm going to agree with Ryan. I think that the biggest obstacle to Tennessee right now, or for Tennessee, is the schools around you. And you're slipping, because of the NCAA, you're slipping farther behind that right now. You're seeing Kentucky is out recruiting you for guys, and I think the NCAA is part of the reason for that.
Specifically, the two top 10 brothers here in the state said they're going to Kentucky.
Tennessee. So I'm going to go with Ryan's. I think that you've got the competition right now that you're not able to beat for the top players. And now you're competing with the South Carolinas and the Missouris for the next tier of players, and you're not doing a good job there. So I do think what you're facing on the recruiting trail is your biggest obstacle.
Okay, I am going to go with reality. And what I mean by that is I don't think a lot of people have a grasp of what realistic expectations are for Tennessee right now. And that goes for fans, yes, goes for some of us in the media who lead the fans down these crazy pathways. There are a lot of people in town who think it does the program good, who think that they're showing their all love by going out and saying, I've got a feeling this team can win 10 games this year. Well, all that does is really lift the expectations to a place that you're never going to hit, and it makes people mad in the backside. So I just don't think you don't want to be mad in your backside. So I think that fans and media need to get a better grip on what you have been, and we're going to talk about that in the segment here to come, what your traditional talent or what your traditional success rate should be. I don't think you're on that right now, and I think the other thing that works against Josh Heupel is fans, understandably, are sick of this. They're tired of it. I've heard 2 coaches say it. I've heard 3 coaches say the same stuff. I've heard 4 coaches say the same stuff. The head coach who takes over at Tennessee now is dealing with the sins of the father. It's like, well, this was year 18 of suckage. Well, but it's this guy's first year.
Yeah.
It's year 18. They give you the Kramer.
Hurry it up.
Yeah, hurry it up. And it's like, no, you can't blame him. Every time you bring in somebody new, you're starting new. The clock starts new. Even though it's year 18 of suckage, it's year 1 for this poor schlub who's having to come in here and dig out of each time a bigger hole. So I think getting a fan base and the media, some of the media, to understand reality. Now, the problem there is we live in a country where half the people don't understand reality. Well, 100% of the people don't understand reality. So I think that if there's a fix for it, it's not going to be found on Facebook. I think that's wrecked America. So I don't know how you fix that. How do you fix these other issues we talked about? In terms of the obstacles you guys laid out, is there a fix? I mean, you said, well, you've just got to get people to be, well, you're kind of in the same boat I am in terms of I'm being realistic with expectations. You're being realistic about what this program is and getting back to what it was. Is there a quick fix for any of these, though?
The quickest solution I would have would be if Josh Heupel is as good as Tennessee is selling offensively, show it as quickly as possible. Get the quarterback position fixed, score points, sell your receivers, and you tell these recruits, we're going to put up points and we're the new Tennessee. That's how you try to attract people and at least convince. And if you do that, you should win some games, right? Yeah. So that's my quickest fix is sell that offense, put some points on the board.
And if you win some games, you win 7 or 8 games for 3 straight years. If you win 7 games this year, he deserves a parade. Yes. But if you win 7 or 8 games for 3 straight years, I don't want to hear people complaining, well, where's the championship? You got to be able to crawl before you can walk, and this program right now is in a body cast in traction, completely off the bed. All you can see are eyes. So you're not even near crawling. So in terms of winning some games, be happy with winning some games. People should have been happier when they finished twice in the top 25 under Jones. He drove it off a cliff, guaranteed, but people were angry at him after those first two top 25 years anyway. It's like, not good enough. You think you just jumped to the national championship game?
Then it wasn't the best relationship at that point.
Yes.
On both sides.
Ryan, how do you fix this?
I'll say this, it's kind of to your point. I think it goes to the reality that I think there is going to be more ramped up expectations for them to fix it quickly because of the transfer portal. I think the transfer portal is going to give Tennessee a path to maybe patching things up quickly enough to get back on track by year 3 under Josh Heupel. If you can use the transfer portal right and recruit well, it can be done. But to me, the long-term path is in-state recruiting. It's the only group of players that Tennessee has a natural advantage when it comes to recruiting them. You have to go all in, to me, on in-state talent. I think the state of Tennessee has improved to the point that I would make half of my recruiting class in-state players. I would sign 10 or 12 every year. I wouldn't make any exceptions. I would use NLI or the NIL ability to sell that to in-state players to keep players in this state. And I would try to build back that way because it's too hard to go into Alabama, too hard to go into Georgia, too hard to go into Florida to get top players. Keep the ones you have in-state.
And for all the talk of things that have gone wrong for Tennessee, and it is, they've screwed up, and there have been other things that have gone wrong around them that weren't their fault. That's one thing, that may be the only thing that is working in their favor. The fact that in-state recruiting has gotten better. You've got more, because Nashville has exploded, you've got more talent in the mid-state. Unfortunately, it's a time when you're in another coaching change and your program's down, but you at least have the opportunity there. I mean, 20 years ago, we did this when everyone was saying, you need more local kids. We went through and looked, and it's like, well, there are 5 guys that wound up in the Power 5. Last year, you had, 14 guys at Power 5 schools out of the state of Tennessee?
More than that, I think.
So and I was the top 20 players, 15 of the top 20 went Michigan State. I mean, you have them going all over the place. SEC, but also Big Ten was coming in here.
It's 20 or 25 on a yearly basis going to Power 5.
So you do have that ability now to build within. I think that's an interesting take. I think a lot of people probably would balk at, and you're not saying ignore Georgia and ignore Florida.
You can't.
But instead of picking and choosing in Tennessee and focusing there, you're saying focus here and pick and choose there.
Absolutely. I think that's the level of talent Tennessee ends up getting a lot of years ends up being comparable to some of the in-state players they pass on anyway. If you dominate in-state talent, make it cool for in-state players to go to Tennessee again, that starts to get you back to that 8-win level, and then you go from there.
Final thoughts? Anything you want to throw in?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the way you get over the obstacle is you got to coach, and that includes evaluating the guys that you think you can get and being correct more often than not. Okay, we're not getting all these 5 stars out of Georgia. We're not getting all the 4s, but by golly, we got to hit on some of these 3s. And so that comes down to evaluation. That comes down to coaching, and I think if you're really good at that, then maybe you can fix it faster because, no, we're not going to have the talent just walk through the door, but it's going to come in, and in 2 years, we're going to show you this 3-star offensive tackle actually is a really good SEC player. So you got to evaluate and you got to coach.
Missouri played an SEC title game. It can be done without recruiting at an extremely high level. 2 of them. That's right.
2, yeah. And you look at Josh Heupel. I think that was a good move by Danny White. Now, I think he was forced into it because nobody else wanted this job. But we talked about it on this show before when the search began. I put up a list of things I would do, and I said play Moneyball. Instead of saying, well, we're going to get another Pruitt who's got to go out recruit Alabama and Georgia to win. Come on. I thought that was stupid when he was here saying, well, a couple more recruiting classes. I thought, you're not going to get a couple more recruiting classes. Little did I know he would go out the way he went out.
The gap was closing, John.
Yes, it was closing, clearly. So I think it was wise to go out and get someone.
McDonald's bags.
Well, get someone who can coach up what he's got. I would rather, I know everybody talks about Jimmy's and Joe's, but give me a guy who can at least teach some X's and O's to the guys he's got. And Heupel did that at Missouri in the SEC. Don't know if he's going to do it at Tennessee, but I know he did it offensively at Missouri, and I think that's a positive to hang your hat on moving forward. When we come back, we've got some numbers for you. The modern era, which amazingly still goes back to 1936, but we'll call that the modern era, 84 seasons. What is Tennessee's realistic, there's that reality word again, what is the realistic level of success for this program? We'll talk about what that is and what it should be next. Come on back on the Sports World.